ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्य मनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूप कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम्। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरुः श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातां सहगणा रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्री राधा कृष्ण पदान् सहगणा ललिता श्री विशाखान्वितांश्च नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामी निति नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्यैव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। नमो महावदान्याय कृष्णप्रेम प्रदायते कृष्णाय कृष्णचैतन्य नाम्ने गौरत्विषे नमः। पंचतत्वात्मकं कृष्णं भक्तरूप स्वरूपकं भक्तावतारं भक्ताख्यं नमामि भक्तशक्तिकं। हे कृष्णा करुणा सिंधो दीनबंधो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमोस्तुते। तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। जय जय श्री चैतन्य जय नित्यानंद जय अद्वैत चंद्र जय गौर भक्त वृंदा। जय जय श्री चैतन्य जय नित्यानंद जय अद्वैत चंद्र जय गौर भक्त वृंदा। जय जय श्री चैतन्य जय नित्यानंद जय अद्वैत चंद्र जय गौर भक्त वृंदा। हरे कृष्णा dear devotees, thank you so much for joining our Chaitanya Bhagavat discussion. So we are in the Adi Leela, chapter 4. We discussed until verse number 57 last Saturday, where the Namkaran Samskar of Gaurahari, Shachinandan Gaurahari took place. And when he was given a choice to pick up his favorite thing from food grains, money, gold, silver, different types of books, and Srimad Bhagavatam, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, our Nimai, he chose Srimad Bhagavatam and embraced. And we're discussing that and how all the elders, they understood that he is going to become a very great Vaishnava. Shishu Bada Haibe Vaishnava, they said. He is going to become a very great Vaishnava. So that is where we stopped. So we will continue. Verse number 58. Again, this is Sri Chaitanya Bhagavad of Srila Vrindavan Das Thakur, Adi Khanda, chapter 4, verse number 58. ये दिके हसिया प्रभु चान विश्वंभर आनंदे सिंचित हय तार कलेवर. Whoever was blessed by Vishwambhar's smiling glance, Hasiya Prabhu, was filled with happiness. Anande Sinchita Haya Tara Kalevar. Their body would get filled with transcendental happiness just by seeing Mahaprabhu. Why? Because he is Ananda Leela Maya Vigrahaya. He is Ananda Vigraha. Just by seeing him, the beholders, their hearts would get filled with happiness. 59. ये करा ये कोले से एडिते ना जाने देवेरा दुर्लभ कोले करे नारी गणे. Nari Gane, when a lady took our Nimai on her lap, she did not know how to put him down. He was unput downable. He was such a darling. He was so sweet. He was so attractive that once you take the child, you take Nimai on the lap, you cannot put him down. That was the nature of Nimai. He was so sweet. And then in this way, the ladies held Nimai on their laps. And who is Nimai? Vrindavan Thakur says, Devera Durlabha Kole. He who is even Durlabh to the Devatas. That Nimai was playing in the laps of the ladies in Nadia. Such fortune. Prabhu ye kande sei kshane nari gana hate tale diya kare hari sankirtana. And Prabhu ye kande, whenever little Nimai would cry, the ladies, what they would do, karatali, they would do Hari Sankirtan, Hari 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 Hari, they would chant, and our Nimai would stop crying. Shuniya nache na Prabhu kolera upare vishesha sakala nari Hari dhvani kare. And as the Lord heard their chanting, now they are doing Hari dhvani. As soon as Nimai would hear, he would begin to dance on their laps around them. And seeing the dance, what is that? Srila Bhakti Charas Maharaj and Srila Loknath Swami Maharaj has made it famous by singing. How does it start? Can you sing one line? Sundar Lala Shachirulala Nachat Shri Hari Kirtana Me. Sundar Lala Sachira Dulala Nachat Shri Hari Kirtana Me.
What is it?
Hare Krishna. Beautiful painting, na? All the
beautiful
ladies are clapping their hands and they are singing Hari Hari, and our little Nimai is dancing. Very beautiful. Niravadhi Sabara Vadane Hari Naam Chhale Bolaye na Prabhu Hena Ichhatan. Niravadhi Sabara Vadane Hari Naam. Constantly, because of his crying, because he would keep crying, and to pacify him, the only solution was not a pacifier like we put today. It was not milk, it was not food, it was not toys, it was just Harinam. So this is what Mahaprabhu wants us to do. Kirtaniya Sadahari. And then Chhale means by cheating, by trickery. Chhale bola yena Prabhu hena ichhatan. Because they knew his desire, they would always chant Harinam. And even by Chala, Mahaprabhu induced them to chant. How the first Chala was what? He appeared during eclipse. Because it is considered inauspicious, so everyone had to chant Harinam. That's why Mahaprabhu came. What was the second Chala we discussed last time? That the Devatas also, they would come and they would create shadows and ghostly noises. So out of fear, all the ladies in Nadia, they would chant Hari Hari for the protection of little Nimai. And the third Chal was, he would cry. He would keep crying. And because of that, they had to chant Hari Hari to make him stop crying and make him dance like this. So beautiful. I love this picture, this painting, how he is dancing. Sundara Lala, Sachira Dulala, Nachata Shri Hari Kirtana. So when we are chanting our japa,
Sachira Dulara, Nachata Shri Hari Kirtana.
So when we do our japa, we can also think like this, that as I'm chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, our beloved Nimai is enjoying dancing with his devotees. So I should not stop chanting. I should keep chanting with them. Kirtaniya Sadahari. That can be a meditation during japa. Verse number 63. Tana ichha vina kona karma siddhana hai Vede Shastre Bhagavate ei tattva kahe. Very important verse. Tana ichha vina kona karma siddhana hai. Without the ichha, without the desire of our Nimai, Vishwambhar, Kona karma siddha nahi. No work can become successful or fruitful without the ichha, without the sanction of the Supreme Lord. And Vrindavan Thakur says, Vede Shastre Bhagavate, Ei Tattva Kahe. This Srimad Bhagavatam and other Vedic literatures are teaching us that unless it is the sanction of Krishna, it cannot happen. And in Srimad Bhagavatam, we read in the 10th canto, there was this Bhaumasur. And he had heard in the Vedic literature that this Krishna comes and he has 16,108 wives. He has read it in the literature. So he thought, I will break the record. I will break the record of Krishna and I will marry more queens than him. So he was collecting queens. He had collected up to 16,000 queens. Now he had only couple hundred more to collect, so he could break Krishna's record. Because he had heard in the previous yugas, Krishna has come and married 16,108 wives. So he wanted to break Krishna's record. But then when he reached 16,000, our Krishna comes there, kills him and marries all those 16,000 queens. So without Krishna's desire, we cannot outsmart Krishna. We can cheat the whole world, but we cannot cheat Krishna. In Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, among the cheaters, I am the greatest cheat. One of his names is Chaliya. So Krishna can be the greatest cheater. We cannot cheat Krishna. Now there's a very nice purport here that Srila Saraswati Thakur writes. I would like to read it. It is concluded in the Vedic literatures and in the Srimad Bhagavatam that without the will of the Lord, no fruitive worker in this world can attain his desired goal. Which means even if there is a fruitive worker, he is working for sense gratification. Even the success of a entrepreneur or a businessman or a professional, whatever may be our field, in even this material world, it is completely dependent on the will of Krishna. There is a very nice story in this regard, which I heard, that once there was a devotee, very great devotee, and he was so great that Krishna would speak to him. And there was an atheist in his town, and he thought that I have to do mercy, I have to give mercy, Krishna's mercy to everyone. So I will invite this atheist for prasad at home. So he took the bold step. He was in two minds, should I or should I not? But then his compassionate nature took over. He said, I must give prasad to this atheist. So then he invites the atheist for prasad to his house. He's a very great Vaishnava. And he offers food with great devotion and love to his deity of Krishna. And then he takes the Mahaprasad, and this atheist, who is his friend, a neighbor, he comes. So he makes him sit down and he says, I'm going to serve you this very wonderful Krishna Prasad. Please accept this. This Krishna Prasad will give you a lot of pious credits and it will purify your heart. Please accept this Krishna Prasad. As soon as he gives it to this atheistic friend, this friend just pushes the plate away. He says, I don't need this Krishna Prasad. What Krishna Prasad? What nonsense. It is just tasty food. I don't believe in any prasad. That statue cannot eat. He points to his Ishtadev, his deity. That statue cannot eat. This is just a tasty food. I don't believe in prasad. So this devotee is so hurt by this insult, this Hari Aprad. He takes that plate of Mahaprasad and says, rascal, you are not qualified to eat this prasad. Get up and get out of my house. Step out. Don't ever enter my house. Nonsense, you're coming in my house and insulting Thakurji. Out of here. So then the atheist gets up, they exchange some bad words and he goes. Then that night in his dream, his Thakurji comes, Krishna comes and chastises him. He says, what kind of a devotee are you? You are not my devotee. I am feeding these atheists since time immemorial and I never complained. You cannot feed them one meal. I am feeding them for lifetimes, these atheists. You cannot feed one atheist for one meal? Come on, you are not my devotee. So then this devotee understood his mistake. So, very instructive story. So the reason we told this story, whether someone believes in Krishna or not, Krishna's mercy is always there. Simply by the will of the Lord, who inaugurated the Sankirtan movement, everyone in the world chanted the names of Hari on the pretext of the lunar eclipse, Chandragrahan. Again, the Lord induced men and women to chant the names on the pretext of his own crime. So this is what we were discussing on different pretexts. Nimai made everyone chant. The fact is, our Nimai Pandit wants all of us to chant constantly, all times. We should keep chanting. And here the key is, Tana ichha vina kona karma siddha nahe. Without the desire of the Lord, nothing can be accomplished. And therefore, the success of our life, please listen to this sentence attentively. The success of our life depends on how we make our desires compatible with the desires of Krishna. That is the success of our life. To make our plans compatible with the plans of Krishna. Krishna has a plan. And if you see the history of Vaishnavism, there is a plan at every step. When Sripad Shankaracharya came, Sripad Ramanujacharya came, Sripad Madhvacharya came, every time there was a plan. Everyone was preparing the grounds for Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to come. And then Mahaprabhu amalgamated and harmonized all the different Siddhantas and gave us the Gaudiya Siddhanta, Achintya Veda Tattva. So today is a very auspicious day, my dear friends. Today is the appearance day of Sripad Ramanujacharya. And I would like to spend the next few minutes talking about Sripad Ramanujacharya. Taking hint from this verse that everything, the Srimad Bhagavatam and the Vedic literature are confirming that without the will of the Lord, nothing can be achieved in this world. So there is a will of the Lord. Like Mukundat Prabhu, he says something very beautiful. He says, there is method to this madness. There is madness in this world, but there is a method to this madness. There is a plan behind this. Even if Kali Yuga is progressing, there is Krishna's plan behind that. And our success is to recognize that plan and make our life in harmony, live our life in harmony with the plan of Krishna. That is the success of life. That is called Anukulyana Krishna, Shilanam Bhakti Uttam. The definition of Uttama Bhakti that Srila Rupa Goswami gives. So Sripad Ramanujacharya, we have been talking about him since the day before yesterday. Since yesterday, actually. So yesterday we spoke about Sripad Yamunacharya, who is the guru of Sripad Ramanujacharya. And I would like to talk about one particular aspect of Sripad Ramanujacharya today, which Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur mentions in Navadvip Dham Mahatmya. In Navadvip Dham Mahatmya, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur says that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu took two principles from all the four Vaishnava Acharyas, all the four Sampradayas. And from Sripad Ramanujacharya, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu took pure devotional service. The understanding of Uttama Bhakti, Shuddha Bhakti, he took from Sripad Ramanujacharya. And second, which I find very interesting, is Vaishnava Seva. In our Gaudiya Sampradaya, we stress Vaishnava Seva not so much. So much Vaishnava Seva we stress. And this is coming from Sripad Ramanujacharya. Bhaktivinoda Thakur writes in Navadvip Dham Mahatmya. Mahaprabhu got Vaishnava Seva from Ramanujacharya. Prabhu kahe Vaishnava Seva Nama Sankirtan, Dui kara Shigra Pave, Shri Krishna Charana. Jive doya, Name Ruchi, Vaishnava Sevan, E Chhadi Dharma Nahi, Suno Sanatan. So Mahaprabhu is stretching Vaishnava Seva. And if you see Chaitanya Charitamrita also, the dealings between different devotees of Mahaprabhu, there is so much Vaishnava etiquette there. Simple things. So much, every step there is Vaishnava etiquette. In the entire Chaitanya Charitamrita and Chaitanya Bhagavata. Amarendra Prabhu is reminding that in the Ante Leela, when Sanatan Goswami visits Mahaprabhu in Jagannath Puri, Sanatan Goswami does not want to go in front of the Simhadwaram when Mahaprabhu calls him to Tota Gopinath for lunch. It is burning hot in the summer. So he takes the longer route along the beach. And the beach, the sand is extremely hot. And being a Babaji, Sanatan Goswami has no footwear. He walks barefoot. So his feet get burned, and by the time he reaches Tota Gopinath, there are blisters on his feet. Our Sanatan Goswami. At that time, already his body was covered with blisters and sores. And it is said that these sores that Sanatan Goswami had, the only area that they spare is the soles. The only area of the body they spare is the soles, because the skin is a little different on the soles. But otherwise, the entire face, torso, hands, legs, everything was covered with ulcers that were bleeding and itching. So only the soles had been spared by that skin disease, and now by walking on the hot sand of the beach, even the soles of his lotus feet were burnt and blistered. So when Mahaprabhu noticed, Mahaprabhu said, "Why did you come from the beach? You should have come from the Simhadwaram." Sanatan Goswami said, "That would have been disservice to Jagannath's devotees. That would have been disservice, because The Jagannath's devotees are always coming and going. The servants are always entering from the Simhadwar and coming out. And if by accident, when I am coming to meet you, if they touch me, first of all, I am मोरेना छुनिया प्रभु पढ़ू तुम्हार पाए नीच जाति अधमार कंदू रस गाय. First of all, I am nicha jati. I am very fallen, adhama and kandu rasa guy. And I have got all this kandu rasa. Rasa means pus and blood oozing from these ulcers on my body. So if that touches the servants of Jagannath, then they will have to go take a bath. They will be disturbed in their service. So to prevent that disservice, the devotees, I took the longer route and my feet got blistered. He said, at that time, Mahaprabhu tells Sanatan Goswami, what are you saying, Sanatan? By touching you, people will get polluted? He says, Yadyapi tumi ho jagata pavan, toma sparshe pavan hoye deva munigan. You are patita pavan, you are so pavan, you are so pure that by touching you, even the devatas, deva munigan, Narad Muni, all the devatas, Brahmaji, Shivaji, by touching you, they become purified. Yadyapi tumi ho patita pavana, toma sparsha pavan hoye deva munigan. तथापि भक्तेरा स्वभाव मर्यादा पालन तथापि भक्तेरा स्वभाव मर्यादा रक्षण मर्यादा पालन होय साधुर भूषण. But still, Mahaprabhu says, although you are so pure and you can purify Lord Shiva, Lord Brahma and Narad Muni by your touch, Sanatan Goswami, still, tathapi bhaktera swabhav maryada rakshan. It is the nature of a devotee to observe Vaishnava etiquette. Maryada palana hoy sadhura bhushan. And the ornament, the decoration of a sadhu is to observe Vaishnava etiquette. So these Vaishnava etiquette, these Vaishnava dealings, Vaishnava service, Vaishnava seva comes from Sripad Ramanujacharya. So many places in Sripad Ramanujacharya's life we see the principle of Vaishnava seva. That story is there where he has to go, when he is going from Sri Rangam to Tirupati with his disciples like Mahapurna, with his Gurudev Mahapurna and his disciples like Kuresh. He is going through one village and he sends an advance party of devotees to tell that there is a very wealthy devotee there, can we stay in his house? And that devotee neglects those two messengers. You have told that story? Those two devotees who bring that message, he completely... Have you all heard that? We spoke on Ramanujacharya a few days ago, few Sundays ago, last month.
Few of us maybe heard, those who have attended the class, but I don't think so everybody heard.
Okay, but maybe some other time we'll discuss. Because this pastime was discussed in detail. So if some of you have heard, there are some other pastimes which I would like to discuss today. So then he completely neglects those two messengers, and Sripad Ramanujacharya is very displeased, and he doesn't stay in that house. And instead he goes to the house of that poor Lakshmi, that lady who has no wealth. He goes and eats prasad in their house and stays in their house. So that very beautiful story is there. If the occasion comes, we can discuss it in the future. So Ramanujacharya, Sripad Ramanujacharya, he established Vaishnava Seva. And today I would like to speak, because it is his appearance day, on something that is very close to my heart, this pastime. Sripad Ramanujacharya, he appeared in a place in South India called Sri Perumbudur. I may not be pronouncing it properly, but we discussed about the glories of Sripad Yamunacharya yesterday evening. And Sripad Yamunacharya had a very senior disciple. His name was Sri Shailapurna. And Sri Shailapurna, he had two sisters, Kanti Mata and Dyuti Mata. So Sripad Yamunacharya's senior disciple was Sri Shailapurna. His two sisters were Kanti Mata and Dyuti Mata. Kanti Mata got married to a very great Brahman, a very great devotee of Lord Narayan. His name was Keshavacharya. So Kanti Mata got married to Keshavacharya, and they went to Chennai. Hare Krishna. They went to Chennai to the Parthasarathi temple, the famous Parthasarathi temple in Chennai, and they prayed there for a divine child, a great devotee of Lord Narayan. They prayed very sincerely. And in the year 1017 AD, according to the Gregorian calendar, 1017 AD, Sripad Ramanujacharya was born to Kanti Devi and Keshavacharya. And the other sister of Kanti Devi, called Dyuti Mata, she also married a devotee And at the same time, around the same time as Sripada Ramanujacharya, they were also blessed with a boy. And their uncle, maternal uncle, Sri Shailapurna, he came. And he named the son of Kanti Mata as Sripada Ramanujacharya. And he named the son of Dyuti Mata Govinda. Now, this Govinda will later on become a very dear associate of Sripada Ramanujacharya. In fact, he will become the first disciple of Sripada Ramanujacharya, Govinda. So Sripada Ramanujacharya was born in Sri Purumbudur. And again, in a previous lecture, we discussed his childhood pastimes. We discussed up to his interaction with Yadav Prakash, his first guru, who was a Mayavadi. And today I would like to discuss something from the life of Sripada Ramanujacharya that happens a little later. We will talk specifically about the sannyas accepting ceremony of Sripada Ramanujacharya, because it has got something to do with Vaishnava etiquettes. How much importance Sripada Ramanujacharya gave to Vaishnava etiquette. This is very clearly demonstrated through this story. So Sripada Ramanujacharya, he, when he was a young boy, he lost his father, Keshavacharya. He lost his father. So the responsibility of the family fell upon him. So he brought his mother, Kanti Mata, and he moved from Sri Purumbudur to Kanchipuram, where the famous Lord Varadaraj lives. So Kanchipuram is mentioned in our Vedas. It's a very holy place. And previously Lord Brahma had a desire that the people of this earth should be able to worship Lord Narayan. So how to bring Lord Narayan on planet earth? That was the question. So Lord Brahma himself came to this holy place in Bharatvarsha called Kanchipuram. And in Kanchipuram, he performed yajna. And during that yajna, from the Ananta Sarovar, Lord Ananta came. And then looking at Lord Ananta, Lord Brahma ordered, who is our architect of the demigods? Vishwakarma. He ordered Vishwakarma to carve a wooden deity of Lord Ananta. And that is there, that deity is still there in the temple of Lord Varadaraj. And he performed the yajna, and in the yajna, he prayed to Lord Narayan to please manifest. So Lord Narayan first manifested as the Naimisharanya forest. He said, I will come as a forest. So Lord Brahma said, that is very good, but I want you to stay in your personal form. And then he came as Lord Varadaraj. He came as Lord Varadaraj. And he stays as Lord Varadaraj because he likes to give benedictions to his devotee, Varadaraj. And he's there in Kanchipuram. And in Kanchipuram, Sripada Ramanujacharya started living. And there was a Shudra in Kanchipuram. His name was Kanchipurna. Correct, no? Kanchipurna. He was a very dear devotee. Although he was a Shudra, he was a very dear devotee of Lord Varadaraj. And his service was, because Varadaraj had appeared from the yajna, from a fire, Lord Varadaraj used to feel very hot because he was born from fire. So he wanted someone to fan him. So our Kanchipurna, he was a Shudra and he had no service to do. But out of his love, he took up the service that I will fan the Lord every day. So he would take a peacock feather fan, chamar, and he would just fan the Lord throughout the year. And in the summer months when it got really hot, he would dip that fan in cool water and then he would fan. That was his service. And just by doing this one service of fanning Lord Varadaraj became so pleased with him that he started speaking. He started speaking to Kanchipurna. And this fact was known to all the pujaris of Lord Varadaraj, that if Lord Varadaraj has to convey something to us, that tomorrow you should offer me a red dress or a yellow dress or a blue dress, that message will be relayed to Kanchipurna. And then Kanchipurna will notify the pujaris. So anything that had to be done, if Varadaraj wanted a special festival or he wanted a festival to be celebrated in a certain way, he would communicate with Kanchipuram. That was the very well-known fact in Kanchipuram. Everyone respected Kanchipurna because of this, because he was so close, so dear to Lord Varadaraj. So one day, Sripad Ramanujacharya, when he moved to Kanchipuram, he thought, I must invite Kanchipurna to my home for prasadam. So he invited Kanchipurna to his home for prasadam. And with great love, he himself cooked. Ramanujacharya and his mother, they cooked for Kanchipurna and they fed him nice prasadam. And then Sripad Ramanujacharya remembered one episode that glorifies the power of the Mahaprasad of a devotee. Mahaprasad of a devotee. Sripad Ramanujacharya was very well learned. So he remembered one incident from Srimad Bhagavatam. And that incident was from the first canto. Narad Muni in his previous life, he had once taken the Mahaprasad remnants of the Bhaktivedantas, the great devotees. And that was completely transformational for his spiritual life. Sripad Ramanujacharya thought, if once I can get the Mahaprasad remnants of Kanchipurna, then my life will be successful. So that time he got the Mahaprasad remnants of Kanchipurna. And he felt great spiritual bliss by tasting the remnants of Kanchipurna. Time went on, and then Sripad Ramanujacharya, when he was 16 years old, he was married to one very beautiful, very cultured, and a very wonderful Brahminical lady, Brahminical girl. And her name was, does anyone remember the name? I'm forgetting the name of Sripad Ramanujacharya's wife. Anyway, so he got married. If I remember, I will tell. He got married, and no, Hasta Kambala. Hasta Kambala. So he got married to her, and then Hasta Kambala and Sripad Ramanujacharya, they were living happily in Kanchipuram. And Ramanujacharya's best friend and spiritual superior mentor was Srila Kanchipurna. And Kanchipurna was held in very high regard by even Sripad Yamunacharya. Sripad Yamunacharya was based in Srirangam at this time. And Sripad Ramanujacharya is here in Kanchipuram. Then one day what happened was, now he's married. Now our Sripad Ramanujacharya is married. So he wanted his wife also to serve Kanchipuram. So he told the glories of Kanchipurna to his wife, Hasta Kambala. He told her that this Kanchipurna is a very great devotee. Let me tell you what happened one day. Kanchipurna, he has some people in Kanchipuram who assist him. And there is one particular Shudra boy who sweeps the streets of Kanchipuram. He's really low class person, but he's a very great devotee. So he one day, and he performs menial service for Kanchipurna. So one day he asked Kanchipurna that, I have heard that Lord Varadaraj speaks to you. So when you are serving Lord Varadaraj, will you please ask him one question on my behalf? So Kanchipurna said, yes, sure, I will ask Varadaraj. What question do you have? Said, please ask Lord Varadaraj if I will ever go back to Godhead. If I will ever go back home back to Godhead, please ask this question to Lord Varadaraj. So Kanchipurna said, yes, in fact, today afternoon only I will ask. So that afternoon he was fanning Lord Varadaraj. And he used to not only fan, he knew some verses from the Vedas. Namo Brahmanya Devaya, Go Brahmanya Hitaya Cha, Jagadhitaya Krishnaya, Govindaya Namo Namaha. He would chant those verses. Few verses he knew. They were not very educated, but few verses he used to, with love, repeat this as he was fanning. And in between, Varadaraj would speak to him. So that day, he waited for Varadaraj to first open the conversation. And when Lord Varadaraj started speaking to Kanchipurna, Kanchipurna said that, my dear Lord Varadaraj, I have a question for you on behalf of a very simple-hearted devotee of yours who lives in town. May I ask? And Lord Varadaraj smiles and said, yes, ask me anything you want. So Kanchipurna asks, this boy, he takes his name, this boy who's a sweeper, he wants to know if he will ever go back home, back to Godhead. So Lord Varadaraj, he speaks to Kanchipurna. He says, because this sweeper is your servant, because he serves you, because he respects you, and because he is dear to you, go and tell him that in this very lifetime, when he gives up his body, I will personally come and take him back home, back to Godhead, to Vaikuntha. I will take him to Vaikuntha in this lifetime only. Go and tell him. He doesn't have to worry because he has served you. So Kanchipurna becomes very happy. So he goes that evening and tells him that you are going back home, back to Godhead. Varadara said in this lifetime only. He doesn't tell the reason out of humility. But in this lifetime only, Varadaraj will take you. Then that night, as Kanchipurna is taking rest, he's thinking, what about me? Will I go back to Godhead? I must ask Varadaraj tomorrow. So then he decides that tomorrow I will ask Varadaraj, what about me? So next day he's fanning Lord Varadaraj. He's fanning Lord Varadaraj. And he is feeling great pressure that how can I ask about myself? That will spoil my relationship. Till now, I have never asked anything about myself or for myself to Lord Varadaraj. So if I ask him, it will spoil the relationship. Maybe I should not ask. But then he thinks, as he's fanning, but if I don't ask, how will I ever find out? So all these thoughts are going on. And Lord Varadaraj knows. So he told him, Kanchipurna, today you look a little distracted. What is the problem? Do you have something to ask me? So Kanchipurna says, yes, my lord. What can I hide from you? Actually, I want to ask you a question. So Lord Varadaraj says, ask. So Kanchipurna is really struggling. But then the words, as he's fanning, his words come out. He says, my lord, yesterday you said that that boy will go back home, back to God in this lifetime only. You will personally take him to Vaikuntha. My lord, I was thinking, what about me? Will I ever go back home, back to Godhead? So this person with whom Lord Varadaraj is talking every day, who is a personal servant of Lord Varadaraj, he is having this doubt. He is having this question, will I ever go back home, back to Godhead? This is the nature of a devotee, my dear friends. A devotee is never overconfident. A devotee is never egoistic. Devotee is very humble, always. Haridas Thakur thinks that to get the remnants of devotees is too much. I cannot ask for that. So let me become a dog. Let me become a dog. I'm not even qualified to be a servant in the house of a devotee so that I can get the remnants of the devotees Mahaprasad. Instead, let me become a dog. And when the devotees throw their food, I will go and get some remnants. So that is the nature of a devotee. Haridas Thakur is saying this. Haridas Thakur is saying this. Whose body, after he left this world, Mahaprabhu himself was carrying and would not give up. Mahaprabhu was not willing to put down Haridas Thakur. Swarup Damodar Goswami had to say that many hours have passed. Now please let us put him in Samadhi. The sun is about to set. Then Mahaprabhu hesitatingly placed Haridas Thakur on the beach. So that Haridas Thakur thinks that I am not even qualified what to be friends with devotees. I am not even qualified to get their remnants. This is the nature of a true devotee. A real devotee thinks like this. So Kanchipurna says, will I go back home, back to Godhead? That is my question, my dear Lord. So Lord Varadaraj becomes very grave. He says, it is my promise. Ye yatha mam prapadyante tam tathaiva bhajamyaham. As you approach me, I reciprocate. You want to serve me, so I give you a chance to serve me. You want to speak to me, so I speak back to you. But that doesn't mean that you will go back home, back to Godhead. So you are not qualified. Kanchipurna, you are not qualified to go back home, back to Godhead. Only one who serves my devotees, that person is qualified to go back home, back to Godhead. This is my rule. There is never a time when my devotee has gone back to Godhead. Never. It is always the devotees of my devotees. Those who do Vaishnava Seva, only they go back home, back to Godhead. Varadaraj says, give me one example when a devotee has gone back home, back to Godhead. It is only when you do Vaishnava Seva that I come to take you back home, back to Godhead. But my dear Kanchipurna, you have never performed Vaishnava Seva. So you will not go back home, back to Godhead. You have to serve a Vaishnava. So Varadaraj is being fanned by Kanchipurna. And Lord Varadaraj says, you will not go back home back to world by serving me. You have to serve a devotee. Kanchipurna stops fanning. He says, here, take your charmer. I am going. And Kanchipurna, he turns around and he leaves Varadaraj. He says, I am going to go find a Vaishnava. I am going to go find a Vaishnava. So he goes and he realizes that there is a very great Vaishnava. His name is Mahapurna, who is a disciple of Sripad Yamunacharya. But he is living with Sripad Yamunacharya in Srirangam at that time. So he walks all the way from Kanchipuram to Srirangam. And he changes his appearance because he's almost like a sannyasi. Kanchipurna is almost like a sadhu. He used to wear saffron clothes, sadhu. So he gave up his clothes and he wore a turban and the clothes of a cowherd boy, of a gopa. And he went to Mahapurna, did not say a word to Mahapurna. He just said, I am a Shudra and I want to serve you. And he just started living outside the house of Mahapurna. And whenever Mahapurna's wife would come, Mahapurna was a grihastha. When his wife would come out to fetch water from the well, he would take the pot, I will fill water. And he would run, go to the well, fill water for Mahapurna's wife and bring it to his house. When she would go to the river Kaveri to wash clothes or do something, he would say, give me the clothes, I will wash all the clothes. And he would wash. Mahapurna had few cows. He took complete responsibility of the cows. He said, I am a gopa, I am a cowherd boy. I will take care of all your cows. So he would bathe the cows every day. He would brush the cows every day. He would milk the cows every day. He would feed the cows every day. He would collect the cow dung every day. He would make cow dung patties every day. He would clean the Goshala every day. He did all the work that required to be done for Mahapurna and his family. So he became so dear to Mahapurna that Mahapurna started calling Kanchipurna my boy. My boy, will you please do this? My boy, will you do this for me? He became like a personal servant to Mahapurna. And Mahapurna was a very great devotee and a very dear disciple of Sripad Yamunacharya. In this way, many, many months passed and rainy season came. And in the rainy season also, he was living in a small hut he built for himself outside the house of Mahapurna. And he used to live in that little hut next to the Goshala. And he would take care of all the cows and all the work. But one day there was a storm, very heavy storm. And he was out with the cows. So by the time he gathered the cows and brought them in the shade of the Goshala, he was completely drenched. And his other pair of clothes that he had hung to dry, they also got wet in the rain. Only his original sadhu clothes from Kanchipuram, they were folded and kept in the hut. So they were dry. They did not get wet. So he thought, it is night time now, it's raining. Mahapurna will never come out at this hour. So let me wear my sadhu clothes. So after many, many months, he removes his cowherd boy clothes and he opens and takes out his old sadhu clothes. He wears them and then he puts his Sri Vaishnava tilak and he sits and he starts chanting japa at night in his hut. But inside the cottage, Mahapurna is thinking about my boy. My boy must have gotten wet. He must not be having dry clothes. So he takes dry dhoti, dry chadar for his boy. And Mahapurna, in the rainstorm, he runs out of the house to bring dry clothes for Kanchipurna. So he opens the hut and he comes inside. And he sees, oh, you are Kanchipurna. You are the famous Kanchipurna. Now I recognize you. I could not recognize you without your tilak and without your sadhu clothes. He starts offering obeisances. He said, you are held in such high esteem by Sripad Yamunacharya, my Gurudev. In fact, one of the instructions of Sripad Yamunacharya, this point is very important, my dear friends. Once Sripad Yamunacharya was asked, what is your most important instruction? Can you summarize all the Vedic literature? Haribol, please listen, this is very beautiful. Sripad Yamunacharya, the Guru Maharaj of Sripad Ramanujacharya, was asked, in one line, can you summarize the entire essence of all the Vedic literatures, of all the Bhakti Shastras? In one line, can you tell us the essence? And Sripad Yamunacharya gave it. Would you like to know? Haribol! He quoted from Mahabharata, Sripad Yamunacharya. He said, all conflicts, all problems of life can be resolved by this one line. Amarendra said it. Sripad Yamunacharya says, Mahajano ye nagata sapantha. Just follow in the footsteps of the Mahajan. Every question of life, every problem of life can be solved by this one principle. Just follow in the footsteps of the great devotees. This was Sripad Yamunacharya. So Mahapurna is quoting this to Kanchipurna, that my Guru Maharaj, Sripad Yamunacharya has said, follow in the footsteps of Mahajans. You are a Mahajan and I am accepting service for you for so many months. I am doomed. I am finished. I am finished now. He holds the hands of Kanchipurna, gives him fresh clothes and tells his wife, I am going to Kanchipuram. I have to take him back to the service of Lord Varadaraj. He has served us, but he is actually a very, very great Mahabhagu. He speaks to the Lord. In fact, Sripad Yamunacharya always names him as a pure devotee. And I have taken service for him for so many months. Menial service, without even paying him. Without even paying him. So now let me take him back to his Varadaraj. So then Mahapurna brings back our Kanchipurna back to Kanchipuram and tells him, please happily stay with your Lord now, Varadaraj. And then Kanchipurna comes back, picks up the fan, and again starts fanning Lord Varadaraj. And even without asking, Lord Varadaraj looks at Kanchipurna, smiles, and says, now you will go back home, back to Godhead. Because for so many months, you have performed menial service to a great soul, to a great devotee. Therefore, my dear friends, the purpose of our life is to just catch hold of one pure devotee and just give our life, sell ourselves to that pure devotee. Then our life is perfect. And Srila Prabhupada is such a pure devotee. Srila Prabhupada is very dear to Srila Rupa Goswami. So if we can please Srila Prabhupada, we can please Srila Rupa Goswami. And if Srila Rupa Goswami is pleased, then Srimati Radharani is pleased. And Prabhupada says, what is that? Dhruva ati boli to matai. E punya karibe jabe Radha Rani sukhi habe. Dhruva ati bole to matai. Krishna tava punya habe bhai. Krishna will be pleased and Radharani will be pleased. Radharani sukhi habe. And to please Radharani means to please the servants of Srimati Radharani, the Manjaris. So therefore we should sell ourselves at the lotus feet of Srila Prabhupada. So this story is being told by Sripad Ramanujacharya to Hastakambala, his wife. So he says, he is a Shudra by birth, Kanchipurna, but he is a very great devotee. I want you to serve him and I want to serve him. So please let us invite him home for prasad one time. So she says, okay, you invite him, I will cook. So she cooks. And by now, Sripad Ramanujacharya has become quite famous as a great devotee. Now he's married, some years have passed. He has left the association of Yadav Prakash. He has started his own school, Bhakti school, Sripad Ramanujacharya, and he's very famous. So now Kanchipurna starts respecting Ramanujacharya. Now Ramanujacharya goes to his dear friend and spiritual mentor, Kanchipurna, and requests him, once more, can you please come to my house for prasadam, please? So Kanchipurna refuses. He says, no, you are such a great devotee yourself now. Those days are gone. You were a young boy that time. You are not even married. But you are a great Brahman. I am a Shudra. You are very learned. You have written such beautiful books. How can I accept service from you? I am nobody. But Srimad Ramanujacharya begs. He says, all right. Tomorrow for lunch I will come. So then Srimad Ramanujacharya is very happy. He tells his wife that he's going to come for lunch. So please be ready. We will serve him very nicely. I'll quickly go take my bath in the Kaveri. I'll quickly go take my bath and I will come. They are living in Kanchipuram right now. So Kanchipurna, to avoid taking service directly from Sripad Ramanujacharya, he comes early. When Sripad Ramanujacharya has gone for his noon bath, he comes early and he tells Rakshakambala, please, come on, give me the prasad quickly. You have invited me for prasad, give me the prasad. She says, please come, have a seat, wash your feet, here is water, just wait few minutes. My husband, Ramanujacharya, he has gone to take his bath. to do his noon duties. He will be back in few minutes. Then he would like to serve you himself. Please wait. So she is very respectful. But he says, no, I have got to do important service for Varadaraj. Varadaraj is feeling very hot. I have to go and fan him. So quickly give me, whatever is there, quickly give me. So being ordered by Kanchipurna, Raksha Kambala, she serves him, Prasad. He quickly eats and goes. So after some time, Sripad Ramanujacharya comes. And he sees that his wife is cooking again. So he asked, what happened? Why are you cooking again? So she says, oh, he came. Kanchipurna came. He was in a hurry. I served him prasad. He ate very quickly and he left. Why? He left. Oh, that is very surprising. He came early and he left early. That's very surprising. Okay, but where are his remnants? Where is the Mahaprasad of Kanchipurna? She said, remnants? Kanchipurna, he's a Shudra. You are a high-class Brahman. I took his remnants. I went on the street. I found a Shudrani. And I gave the remnants to that Shudra lady. And for you, my dear husband, now with cow urine, I have cleaned the kitchen and I have started cooking all over again for you. So please wait few minutes. I will have prasad ready for you. Sripad Ramanujacharya was so heartbroken. He said, do you know what you have done? You have disrespected the Mahaprasad remnants of a pure devotee. He said, this is such an aparadh that you are considering him to be a Shudra. Have I not explained to him? Have I not explained to you the importance, the significance, the greatness of Kanchipurna? He is a pure devotee. Why do you consider him a Shudra? Time went on. We are running out of time. We have got last 5 minutes, so I'll fast forward. So time went on. It's a long story. Time went on like this. And there were many episodes in their Grahastha life where Raksha Kambala, she insulted Vaishnavas. And we discussed, the topic of our discussion is Vaishnava Seva. Vaishnava Seva is very important to Sripad Ramanujacharya and to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So this was the first episode. So then some time went on and then Sripad Ramanujacharya approached Kanchipurna that all the scriptures say that one has to have a guru. Tadvidi pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya upadhyakshite jnana jnaninas tattvadarshina. You are a tattvadarshi, Mahabhagavad. Please give me initiation. Without initiation, without a guru, my spiritual life will not even start. So please initiate me. Sripad Ramanujacharya begs Kanchipurna. And Kanchipurna, he gets angry with Varadaraj. That afternoon he goes to Varadaraj and he tells Varadaraj that, my dear Lord, you know I am a simple Shudra. Somehow you have engaged me in your service. My life is very simple. Why do you want to complicate my life? By accepting a disciple like Ramanujacharya? Guru no satsya, swajana no satsya. One is not allowed to become a guru unless namochayadyo samupeta mrutyum. Unless we can deliver them from the repeated cycle of birth and death. One is not qualified. I am such a fallen soul. I have no qualification. How can I take the responsibility of becoming the guru of another person? What to speak of a great person like Sripad Ramanujacharya? And everything happens by your will. Today's verse we are reading. Nothing happens without the will of Mahaprabhu, without the will of Krishna. So our Kanchipurna is blaming Lord Varadaraj that why Ramanujacharya is after me for initiation. It is because of you. You want to complicate my life. I am going to leave you and go. So now again, our Kanchipurna puts down his chamar. He says, but this time he doesn't put it down. This time he takes it away. He said, I am going to take the chamar away from you and I will go to Tirupati and I will fan Lord Venkateshwar. I will not fan you. So Kanchipurna takes the chamar of Lord Varadaraj and he walks all the way to Tirupati and he says, I will not fan you. You are complicating my life. You want me to become a guru? I don't want this. You want me to get entangled in wealth and fame and adoration? I don't want that. I will not fan you. I will fan Lord Venkateshwar. So he starts fanning Lord Venkateshwar. And Lord Venkateshwar is very happy to accept the service. But then Lord Venkateshwar understood that Lord Varadaraj is feeling separation from his devotee. So one day, Lord Venkateshwar, Balaji, he speaks to Kanchipurna that, listen, my dear Kanchipurna, your service indeed is very pleasing to me. But you see, I am on top of this mountain. It is already very cool here on top of this mountain. So there is no need to fan me. Instead, you go and you fan Lord Varadaraj because he came from fire. He is always feeling very hot. Go and fan him. So then Kanchipurna says, well, let me go to, if you don't want my service, let me see if Lord Ranganath will accept my service. I will go to Sri Rangam. Then Kanchipurna with his chamar, he goes to Srirangam and he starts fanning Lord Ranganath. He starts fanning Lord Ranganath. And after some time, after accepting his service for some time, one day Lord Ranganath tells Kanchipurna, my dear Kanchipurna, your service is very pleasing to me. But just see, on both sides I have the cool waters of Kaveri river. It is very cool here. The cool breeze is blowing from Kaveri. So I don't need fanning. I'm cool. I'm already very cool. But Lord Varadraj has come from fire and he's always feeling hot. So please go back to Lord Varadraj and fan him. Then Kanchipurna says, all right, I will go back. So he comes back and he starts fanning Lord Varadraj and tells him, never again ask me to become a guru. Never again. So then later on, Ramanujacharya asks Kanchipurna, if you don't accept me as a guru, then at least ask Lord Varadraj, what are his instructions for me? Hare Krishna. So Kanchipurna says, yes, that I can do. Tomorrow I will ask Lord Varadraj, what are his instructions for you as far as guru is concerned? So my dear friends, now pay very close attention. Next day, Kanchipurna goes to Lord Varadraj and he's fanning him. And he says, I have a question to ask you on behalf of Ramanujacharya. May I ask? So Varadraj smiles and says, yes, please ask. He says, Yamunacharya is asking what are the instructions for him. Sorry, Srimad Ramanujacharya is asking what are the instructions for him. So Lord Varadraj says, please note down my instructions. First instruction. No, you don't have to note down. He's telling Kanchipurna, pay very close attention, he says. These are the instructions. Because these instructions are for everyone. These are very beautiful instructions. First instruction. He says, Lord Varadraj says, please tell Ramanujacharya that I want him to preach like this. Number one, I am the Supreme Personality. Lord Varadraj is saying, I am the Supreme Personality of Godhead. I am the absolute truth. Number two, the Jivatma can never become God. No matter what they do, a Jiva can never become Jagdish. Jiva can never become Jagdish. Second teaching. Third teaching. This is very beautiful. This is my favorite. Lord Varadraj tells Kanchipurna, tell Ramanujacharya to preach this. So first is, I am the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Second is, the Jivatma is my part and parcel, is my servant, but a Jivatma can never become Bhagwan. And third, the only way to please me is pure, unalloyed devotional service. Lord Varadraj says, the only way to please me is pure, unalloyed devotional service. Now see how Lord Varadraj is building it up. And the fourth point, this is supremely beautiful point. He says, my love. So first point is, I am Bhagwan. Second is, Jivatma can never become Bhagwan. Jivatma is my servant, part and parcel. Third point is, the only way to please me is pure devotional service. Fourth point, that devotee of mine who engages in my devotional service becomes so dear to me. Lord Varadraj is saying, my love for my devotees is so great that even if by Durdaiva, my devotee, by misfortune, my devotee is not able to remember me at a time of death, I take responsibility. I will come and I will take my devotee back home, back to Godhead. This is my promise. Tell Ramanujacharya to declare this. Kaunteya pratijanihi nave bhakta pranashyati. Even if my devotee at the time of death, kafavata pitto, if not able to remember me, kanthavrodhana vidho smaranam kutaste. If that anxiety is there, don't have that anxiety. Lord Varadraj says, my love for my devotee is so great that even if my devotee is not able to remember me at the time of death, I come and take my devotee back home, back to God. I don't forget my devotee. My devotee may forget me for the time being, but I will never forget my devotee. Hare Krishna. And then the fifth message for Ramanujacharya, the last message, is tell Shripad Ramanujacharya to go and sell himself at the lotus feet of the great disciple of Shripad Yamunacharya, whose name is Mahapurna. Shripad Ramanujacharya should take Diksha from Mahapurna. Hare Krishna. So when this message is given to Shripad Ramanujacharya by Kanchipurna, the message from Lord Varadraj, Shripad Ramanujacharya becomes very enthusiastic. And he immediately goes to Mahapurna, begs at his lotus feet to accept him as a disciple. Mahapurna says, let us go back to Kanchipurna. Because the order has come from Varadaraj, I would like to give you initiation in the presence of Lord Varadaraj. Mahapurna is telling. So let's go back to Kanchipurna. I will initiate you there in Kanchipurna in the presence of Lord Varadaraj. Come, I will initiate you. Mahapurna says. So Ravana says, no. No, Gurudev. What if I die today? What if I die today? He says, don't think of any auspicious place, auspicious time. Initiate me right now. Initiate me right now. And seeing the eagerness and sincerity of Sripad Ramanujacharya, Mahapurna takes him to a nearby lake and initiates him. Then and there, without seeing Tithi, nothing. What is that? Shigrasya. Subhasya Shigram. Amaran Prabhu is saying. Shubhasya Shigram. What is auspicious? Do it immediately. Do it immediately. It is already auspicious. Initiation is an auspicious event. It doesn't need anything. Just do it. So this is Ramanujacharya. And then he begged Mahapurna, please come with me to Kanchipuram. Please stay in my house for a few months. I want to serve you and please teach me the principles of Vaishnavism. Unless you teach me, my life is useless. Divya Jnana Hriday Prakashita, please. So Mahapurna agrees. And Mahapurna and his wife, they walk back to Kanchipuram with Ramanujacharya and they live in his house for some time, teaching. All day they're discussing Krishna Katha. Sripad Ramanujacharya and Mahapurna. One day, Mahapurna's wife and Sripad Ramanujacharya's wife, Raksha Kambala, they go to the well to fill water in their pots. And as they are drawing water from the well, when Mahapurna's wife pulls out the water, some water from her pot spills over into Raksha Kambala's pot, Ramanujacharya's pot. And Mahapurna, some authorities say he was from a Brahminical family, but it was even among Brahmins, there is high class Brahmin and low class Brahmin in the Orthodox society of that time. So he was from a low class Brahmin family, and Ramanujacharya was pure, very high class Brahmin family. So Raksha Kambala had that in her mind that he is a low class Brahmin. So she started yelling at Mahapurna's wife at the village well in front of all the village ladies. Said, you wretch, low class woman, how dare you put water from your contaminated pot into the pot of my husband? I serve my husband with this pure water and you have made it impure. Useless woman. You should have better sense. Starts yelling. Raksha Kambala starts yelling at Mahapurna's wife. And Mahapurna's wife, our acharyas explain, she had a very mild disposition. She was very soft spoken, very mild and very soft hearted. She started crying. She sat down, covered her face with her hands and started crying at the village well. And later that day, she came home and Mahapurna asked her, what happened? And she narrated what happened. So Mahapurna said, maybe we are a burden on Raksha Kambala. So although Sripad Ramanujacharya wants us here, but his wife doesn't want us. So let us not create inconvenience for them. Without saying anything to anyone, both of us, let's leave the house immediately. So they pack their belongings in a bundle and they just leave silently without speaking a word to anyone. In the evening when Sripad Ramanujacharya comes back, he sees, where is Mahapurna, my Gurudev, and where is my Guruma? Raksha Kambala says that, oh, today we went to the well and she purposefully spilled some water from her pot into your pot. So I didn't get angry, but I just mildly told her that this is not good. Please don't do this. Because my husband is a high class Brahman and your husband is a low class Brahman. So please don't do this. But look at her envious nature. She got so angry. And her husband, that Mahapurna, he got so upset that in a fit of rage, he left the house. I know he's a spiritual master. But isn't a Vaishnava supposed to be tolerant? Isn't a Vaishnava supposed to be amanina manadena? Isn't a Vaishnava supposed to be tolerant and humble? Where is his humility? Where is his tolerance? Oh ho ho! Patidev Ramanujacharya, what a great spiritual master you have got. I offer my respectful obeisances at the lotus feet of Mahapurna. She said like this, very sarcastically. And Sri Ramanujacharya's heart was pierced by 1,000 thunderbolts when he heard that his spiritual master had been humiliated in his house by his own wife. So much so that he had to leave. I don't know where he has gone. Ramanujacharya started crying. He started running on the road, calling out, Mahapurna, Mahapurna, Gurudev, where are you? Where are you? But he could not find. In those days, there was no email, no phone, nothing. They didn't know where maybe he went back to Sri Lanka. Sripad Ramanujacharya was very, very heartbroken. After that, his heart was completely broken. One day, Sripad Ramanujacharya had gone to take darshan of Lord Varadaraj. As he was returning home, he saw a very great Vaishnava sannyasi who used to do Madhukari. He had come to the house of Sripad Ramanujacharya and he was coming out. So Sripad Ramanujacharya was very happy that a great sadhu, Babaji, has come to my house for Madhukari. He smiled, offered obeisances to that sadhu as he was coming out of the house of Ramanujacharya and asked, "Did you get enough dakshina, diksha from my wife?" So this sadhu had tears in his eyes. He said, "Your wife screamed at me, yelled at me. She was very upset. And she called me a poor, useless beggar." So he said, "She didn't give me anything, but she gave me some harsh words, and I'm going heartbroken." At this moment, Sripad Ramanujacharya understood in his heart. Lord Varadaraj spoke to Ramanujacharya in his heart what he should do. So he told the sadhu, "You come with me." He took him little away from the house. He said, "Do you want bhiksha?" Sadhu says, "Yes." Says, "My wife will give you bhiksha like you have never gotten before. Just follow what I tell you." Sripad Ramanujacharya wrote a letter and gave it to that sadhu. He says, "Go and give this letter to Raksha Kambala, and she will give you very generous bhiksha. And I will be hiding here behind a tree. Don't tell her that I gave you this letter." So Raksha Kambala opens the door when the sadhu knocks. So, "Hey, again you have come back? I just told you to go away. Again you came back." He says, "No, actually you didn't listen to me last time. I am not just an ordinary mendicant. I have been sent from your village. Your father has sent me. And he has sent me with a letter. Please read this letter." So she takes the letter and she reads. That letter, Sripad Ramanujacharya has written, but he has written it as if it is written to Ramanujacharya by his father-in-law, by Raksha Kambala's father. So the letter goes, "My dear son-in-law, Ramanujacharya, my younger daughter is getting married. And there is a great festivity here. I don't have enough people to help me. It will be very nice if you and your wife, means my daughter, please come and live here in our village for a few weeks and help me with the marriage of my younger daughter. It will be very nice." She becomes so happy. "Ah, my sister is getting married. I get to go to my home. I get to go to my father's house. So much fun, so much socializing, so much ha ha hoo hoo. It will be so nice. So let me go." "Oh, you have got such a good message for me, my dear mendicant. Here, I will give you nice pongal. I will give you nice this, nice that, nice payasan. I'll give you so much bhiksha. I will give you clothes. I will give you this." She gives a lot of bhiksha to the sadhu and bids him farewell. And the sadhu is very happy. He leaves the house of Ramanujacharya in a very happy mood. And then Ramanujacharya comes out from behind a tree and comes home. And Raksha Kambala is in a jubilant mood. She said, "My dear husband, look, I got a letter from my father. And it's a very happy news. My younger sister is getting married. Can we quickly pack our belongings and go to my father's house?" Sripad Ramanujacharya, "Show me the letter." "Oh, this is indeed very good news," Ramanujacharya says. "Very good news. But you know what? I have got some important duties to do. I just took up a seva in the temple of Lord Varadaraj. So I have got some priestly duties to perform for Lord Varadaraj. So I will not be able to come. But why don't you go to your father's house? You go alone and you stay with your father for a few months and participate in the marriage. And your father will take very good care of you and you help him in the festivities." She was very happy. She said, "Yes, yes, yes, I will go." So Sripad Ramanujacharya made all the arrangements for her to go to her father's house and dispatched her to the father's house. And our Sri Vaishnava Acharyas say that no one knows what happened to Raksha Kambala afterwards. There is no mention. But we can safely assume that the father took good care of her for the rest of her life. So she was gone. And the day she left for the father's house, because of these three Vaishnava Aparadhas. Vaishnava Aparadh to Kanchipurna by giving his remnants of Mahaprasad to a Shudra on the street. Second, utterly humiliating Mahapurna's Guru Mata's wife, Guru Mata, Mahapurna's wife, and Mahapurna. And number three, that Vaishnava Sadhu who had come for Bhiksha, he was sent away without any Bhiksha and with harsh words because he was insulted. These three Vaishnava Aparadhas, Sripad Ramanujacharya said that although my wife is a pious lady in many ways, and she is a cultured lady in many ways, and she is devoted to me, but still she will not cooperate in my mission. My mission is to teach the world Vaishnava Seva. My mission is to teach the world pure devotional service, not this Jati Buddhi that my wife is having. So my wife is an impediment in the mission. and mission is more important than my family. To take care of one family is very glorious. But what is that? Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. But a person who is really intelligent, who is really broad-minded, considers the whole world as one family. So there are so many people who are dying because of lack of spiritual nourishment. So to give your life for the larger society is a much greater accomplishment. And Sripad Ramanuja said, I will give up my family life to take care of this entire Bharatvarsha, and I will preach all over this country. That same day, he went and fell at the lotus feet of Kanchipurna, his dear friend. And he told Kanchipurna, please ask Varadaraj to give me sannyas. Hare Krishna. Please ask Varadaraj to give me sannyas. And that day, that very day, Sripad Ramanujacharya took the vows of sannyas. Took the vows of sannyas. And he spread the message of Krishna consciousness all over India. And he took the Tridanda. He took the saffron clothes of sannyasi that very day. And he became the great Sripad Ramanujacharya. And today is his appearance day, my dear friends. So let us pray today at the lotus feet of Sripad Ramanujacharya that we can get such Guru Nishtha that Sripad Ramanujacharya had, and devotion and dedication to the mission of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, like Sripad Ramanujacharya had. And we can, with karmana manasa vacha, with our body, mind and words, we are able to devote ourselves exclusively for samsiddhir haritoshanam, for pleasing the Supreme Lord. Hare Krishna. Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Nitai Gaur Premanandi. Hari Hari. Thank you very much. We'll just take one question from Vamshidhari Gopal Prabhu and then we'll stop. Thank you, dear Prabhuji. Please go ahead.
Yeah, Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandvat Pranam. Thank you so much Prabhuji for such wonderful pastimes. So Prabhuji, I have a question on the remnants acceptance. So earlier, like I heard that we should not accept remnants without the permission of the Vaishnava, like whose remnants we are willing to accept. And then some other incidents we hear, like in past times, that where some like devotees are creating opportunities or even trying to get remnants like given not by their permission. So what is the right way, Prabhu? Like this contradiction I'm not able to understand.
Yes, so the right way is explained in Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, in the Antya Leela, in the pastime of Kalidas, in the pastime of Kalidas. So Kalidas was a very great devotee. In fact, he was a relative of our Prayojan Acharya, Srila Raghunath Das Goswami. He was from Chandpur, and he was a cousin. He was an uncle of Raghunath Das Goswami. And Raghunath Das Goswami was from the Majumdar family. Kalidas also was from a very aristocratic family. He was a very rich person. Although he was very rich, he had great humility. And he took a vow that I will accept the Mahaprasad remnants of all the devotees of Mahaprabhu in Nadia. And he did that. And how he used to do, it is explained in Chaitanya Charitamrita. He would do research. What does Vamshidhari Gopal Prabhu like? Oh, Vamshidhari Gopal Prabhu likes mangoes. So I will give him mangoes. And then he would ask. He took it to the house of Jadu Thakur. He asked Jadu Thakur, can I please have your Mahaprasad remnants? Jadu Thakur said, no, you are such a great devotee. I am a Shudra. I am a very fallen person. How can you have my remnants? No. So then, Aho Patasva Pachato Gariyan was quoted by Kalidas. He quoted that verse. Yah Jivaragre Vartate Nama Tubhyam. But one may be born in a family of dog eaters. If one is constantly chanting the name of Krishna like you are, then you can purify the whole world. So he says, please give me your remnants. So Jadu Thakur also great devotee. He said, what you are saying, Kalidas, is right. But it doesn't apply to me. Because I am not a Vaishnava. What you are saying is right. Even if a dog eater is always in a family of dog eaters, somebody is chanting Hare Krishna, then that person is very purifying. Patita Pavan. That is true. But doesn't apply to me because I am not a devotee. So then Kalidas didn't argue. He said, okay. He retreated. He went away. But then he came back. After Jadu Thakur and his wife had eaten the mangoes, it's a very beautiful story. We don't have time. but he threw them in that composting pit. And at night, he came, Jadoo Thakur came, Kalidas came, and he ate those remnants. So here we are taught what is the principle. The principle is, first of all, one has to have deep faith in the Vaishnava. One has to have deep faith in the power of Mahaprasad. That is number one criteria. We should have faith. Number two, this is very important, Prabhu. This is very important. So first principle is, we should have faith in the Vaishnava. We should have faith in the Mahaprasad of the Vaishnava. That's first principle. Second principle is, we should have a menial service attitude. Because Kalidas went and bought the most expensive mangoes. Because he knew that Jadoo Thakur likes mangoes. So he had a menial service attitude. That attitude has to be there. We should have an attitude of serving the Vaishnava, surrendering ourselves to the lotus feet of that Vaishnava. If that attitude is not there, then eating the Mahaprasad remnants will not have effect. Will not have the same effect. Second criteria. Third criteria is like Kalidas. You beg permission. And you get it, very good. If you don't get permission, take it in a way that the devotee will not find out. Otherwise, the devotee will be embarrassed. If the devotee is embarrassed, the devotee is displeased. If the devotee is displeased, then the whole purpose is gone.
Right.
So 4 principles. We should have faith. We should have service attitude to that Vaishnava. We should take permission. And if no permission, then at least we do it in a way that the devotee doesn't know.
Doesn't know. Okay.
The devotee doesn't know. So that is, and then if we do this, then Mahaprabhu will be very pleased. Because Mahaprabhu was so pleased with Kalidas. When Kalidas came to Jagannath Puri, nobody Mahaprabhu allowed to drink his Charanamrita. Every day before entering Jagannath temple, Mahaprabhu would allow Swarup Damodar Goswami to wash his feet. But nobody was allowed to touch that Charanamrita. But only Kalidas is the only devotee in Chaitanya Charitamrita who was given that fortune. When Kalidas came, he boldly sat down, put his cupped hands under the lotus feet of Mahaprabhu. Swarup Damodar Goswami poured water. He took the full Charanamrita, drank it. Second time, he poured water, took, drank it. Third time, drank it. Fourth time, he put. Mahaprabhu said, "That's enough. Nobody has done it in the past. I allowed you 3 times. Be satisfied." Why Mahaprabhu gave this fortune to Kalidas? Because he had these 4 principles: faith in Vaishnavas, service to Vaishnavas, taking permission, and if no permission, then taking the remnants with great faith without letting the Vaishnava know that they are not embarrassed. And Mahaprabhu gave his Charanamrita 3 times to Kalidas. Not only that, that afternoon when Mahaprabhu went to Gambhira and Swarup Damodar Goswami gave him Mahaprasad, Govinda gave Mahaprasad, Mahaprabhu instructed Govinda, as long as Kalidas is in Puri, my remnant should go to him. Hari Bol. Such a great fortune. So these 4 things have to be remembered. Deep faith in the Vaishnavas, submission and service attitude for the Vaishnavas, permission, and if no permission, take it without the Vaishnava coming to know. We can learn from Chaitanya Charitamrita. Thank you. Is that okay?
Okay, sir. Yeah, thank you so much, Prabhuji. Like, I was having this confusion for a long time, and since that pastime came today, so I thought I will clarify it. And thank you so much for making it so crystal clear. Thank you so much, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you.
So we'll stop here, dear devotees. We will meet again next Saturday, Krishna willing. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Prabhu. Very nice. Ramanacharya's Parents Day. Thank you.
Ramanacharya ki jai.
Ramanacharya ki jai. Thank you.
Prabhuji, thank you, Prabhuji. Very nice.